Thanks, Rich. My name's John Erck. I'm one of the two co-founders here at Rebuy. Long-time software developer myself, so a back-end programmer, internet programmer, a lot of experience with relational databases and some of the newer technology now as well. But yeah, that's who I am.
My name's Nik. I'm a founder of an agency called Sharma Brands, big partner of Rebuy, investor in Rebuy, and just love making brands sell on the internet.
I love that. So for me, I'm kind of curious because it's like we just introduced ourselves as who we are, but like, how did you get there? Like, how did John become John of Rebuy? Tell us the story of maybe a little bit of that journey, because I know that you came from brand side, agency, I think a little bit as well. So what led up to present day?
Yeah, totally. So I think just like in the mid 2000s, like the emergence of Facebook and Wikipedia at the time was like really new and fresh. So it's just like Web 2.0 really inspired me as like a young programmer. So I learned how to program in the LAMP stack, Linux, Apache, PHP, MySQL. And I just got to work just building lots of different internet-based concepts. But then, ran a successful agency with my brother where we modified people's online stores. Typically on a retainer basis, we would be hired and we would enhance that online store as web developers. And then kind of never gave up the dream of creating a giant company built on the internet. And so, James and I, over those years as web developers, would always come up with new ideas and came up with many. Pretty much none of them are around now except for, Rebuy and Rebuy Works. So, so I got inspired by some early Web 2.0, and after like 10 years worth of, failed startups, one of them took root.
One of them stuck.
So that's Rebuy.
And how about you, Nik? So again, I think a lot of people know Sharma Brands, but how did you get to the point now where you're obviously a trusted advisor? A lot of people go to you, look to you, respect you. How did you get to that point?
I'm still trying to figure that part out. But the way I got into marketing was basically by way of working with celebrities. So I used to run Facebook and Twitter for Pitbull and Priyanka Chopra and this band called Magic.
Casual.
They had that song Rude. And I got really interested in how you could get two-way engagement going on social for artists. And that kind of led me down the path of marketing. And one of my close family friends growing up had also started an ad tech / martech company, which is how I also got interested in it. And then, fast forward, I finished high school, joined an ad tech company, spent a couple years just learning ad tech, and then moved to the brand side where I was at Hintwater and, brought them over to Shopify and ran DTC. But that's where I learned DTC. It was pretty much on the job. And from there, I was there 2 years, then moved to New York, and now we have Sharma Brands, which is basically, the idea is if we were to productize the team that I had at Hint, it was like our DTC team oversaw creative, retention, acquisition, content, website, social. If we were to do that as a product for brands, that's what Sharma Brands is today. It's this kind of growth approach versus we just want to run ads, or we just want to do creative, we just want to build your site. And a big part of that is obviously Rebuy.
Yeah. Well, no, I love this. And I think, you've coined almost this framework, the TRACE framework. So can you unpack a little bit of what that stands for? Because I think that ties right into kind of the ethos that allows you to become so successful and so trusted, right?
Yeah. So TRACE stands for technology, reporting, audience, creative, experience. So the technology you're using the right tech. Is it up to date? Is it the best tech you can be using for the problem you're trying to solve? Reporting, are you actually looking and measuring results properly? Whether that's, taking reporting at face value, running your own style of reporting, running your own type of measurement tests, whatever it is. Audience is who you're targeting, and that matches directly with the creative that you serve them, the problem solution or the reason to get that specific type of audience in. And then experience is the thing most people don't think about, but it's where are you driving all this traffic? So if you're spending, $1 to $5 per click driving traffic to a site for one click, and that one click has a 2.5% chance of converting, then you have to make sure your experience is the most optimized. And I call it this concept of having the best possible at-bat, meaning when you're getting pitched the fastball, are your shoes tied? Do you have your gloves wrapped on tightly? Are you holding the bat at the right spot? And those are all the things on your site. Having a upsell cart that's pushing upsells, a post-purchase upsell to try to take that payment token and get as much revenue in as possible. So I think the E part, the experience of the Trace framework, is what most people don't focus on. They tend to get a Shopify theme, or they buy a theme, they work with a developer, they get a site up once, it's never touched again. And now this is turning into a pitch for Rebuy. But the reason that I love Rebuy so much, and especially you and James, is because you guys are just so you're just so founder friendly. Like Rebuy's got, I don't know, 20 plus things inside of it that just help you instantly turn it on and just make money. There's no bullshit. There's no, you don't even have to set much up. It's just turn it on and flip it on. It works.
And so I love also the reference in terms of, are your shoes tied? Is your glove, all that. We make a lot of sports references internally, which couldn't be me, but it's relevant in terms of operating like a team, like a professional sports team. So knowing how you build and getting to experience that with you, how do you stay focused in terms of your vision for what you saw Rebuy, what it could do, and how you decide to build Rebuy? Like, how do you stay focused on that original vision? Or do you?
Yeah, well, I kind of want to build on what Nik said. And I think it's kind of all built on this idea of wait a second, what exactly does Rebuy do again? And I just want to make that really clear for everybody. If you run a .com web store, that runs on Shopify, so you have your own .com store and it runs on Shopify, that storefront, it's not easy to just do what you want to do with that storefront. The 2.0 builder that Shopify gives you is pretty good. It's an awesome base to have. But now you want to modify it. Now you want to put a recommendation block on your product page. Without Rebuy, or other apps potentially, how are you going to do that? There just isn't any solution for it. Or you want to modify your cart, you have to immediately go and do a lot of custom coding and stuff like that, when you could just flip a switch and our shopping cart takes over your themes cart, and it's all powered by Rebuy.js. And now you get a visual studio for building out your smart cart 2.0. So it's you feel without Rebuy, you feel you're kind of in a straitjacket when it comes to changing your website. But then with Rebuy, you have this endless number of widgets you can install, and then you can achieve your goal. So we really do unblock you to achieve so many different edits to your website. So that's essentially the problem that we solve. If you launch a brand new theme right now and you want your shopping cart to look great, you just have to either change your theme. Your theme could have it if it's perfect out of the box. Most aren't. And then you're going to have to mod that out or something. And Rebuy Engine is your or something. So you get your theme and then you do all your extra stuff with Rebuy. So I think it empowers anybody to achieve their goal. And you get you were saying say you're paying $1 per click, even $5. That experience that person has there, if the shopping cart is junk, they're gonna bounce. But if the shopping cart slides up from the bottom and looks awesome on your iPhone, they're wow, this is a really high quality website. You just like it. Those are very different experiences, and that's kind of the before and after with Rebuy, but throughout the entire journey. So ultimately, our goal as a company, to answer your question, how do we stay is on point, is that we want to create intelligent shopping experiences, which is super broad. So we can take on almost anything in e-commerce under the umbrella of in pursuit of intelligent shopping experiences. And when you're a consumer and things feel broken some way, somehow, that doesn't fit the profile of an intelligent shopping experience. So that is our main, mission, is to create those. And then under that umbrella, we listen to our customers. And they go, I'm blocked, I'm stuck, I want to do this, I can't do that. And we try to solve it with Shopify first. And if we solve it with Shopify, we're super psyched, because then we don't have to do anything. But if you can't solve it with Shopify, then we solve it with Rebuy. And that's how we build software.
I love that. And I think as well, there is something to be said about Rebuy almost being a little bit disruptive in this space, because I think, so coming from the Shopify background, you were very much, I think they did a great job in terms of democratizing e-commerce. So anyone could start a business. But I think with that, you kind of just get what you get, right? So you only leverage the tools that you have in front of you. You don't really necessarily see the potential of what could be there. And then Rebuy kind of enters the picture. And all of a sudden now where you've got the cross sells and the upsells, you can now take that a step further, right? In terms of being able to hyper personalize it based off of the location in which your customer's shopping from, the amount that your customer is willing to spend. All of a sudden the site comes alive based off of those identifiers, which is great. But with that, and your approach in terms of how you work with brands and stuff like that, I'm curious to know, what is one thing that you think a lot of people rely too heavily on that you've kind of flipped on its head? So for example, relying solely on paid media to get traffic to your online store, or having a really flashy website but it doesn't convert. Like, what's one thing you see a lot of people like, this is what I need, and you're like, actually, no,
Yeah. The most common is like a brand that's worth caring about. Most people have a really flashy website. They've got, those quick cut Facebook ads. They've got landing pages, but they don't have a product that's actually necessary or something that solves a problem in an innovative way. There's a lot of copycat products that exist, and those don't do so well. But I think the biggest thing is like I'm looking at this screen here and I see brands like Chamberlain Coffee or Imi Eats, or these are brands that are legit brands. They're going to stand the test of time, but there's a lot of copycat products and whatnot that exist, and I think they also have their time and place in the world of e-commerce. But
I think you need a differentiated product.
You totally need something that's different and valuable. I think the innovation piece, like I always go back to K18 shampoo. Yeah. Like it's such a great example of innovation. Or if you look at how supplement brands today are advertising, they're all winning on the fact that they're multi-beneficial or innovative supplements in some way. And if you don't have that innovation piece or a reason that sets you apart, it's just there's no one's going to care.
With that, I think, okay, so, we focus on building an experience that once you get the traffic there, we're going to design something that's designed to convert, that speaks to the customer versus sells at the customer, right? You've mentioned here, so you said an audience is a competitive advantage. How can brands approach that in a way that is slow and steady while still maintaining that competitive advantage? Like, I think right now there's a lot of people that are competing for market share. When you say that there's, 150 different supplement brands that are top of mind for people, how do you recommend brands approach that in a way that still is consistent, where they're not kind of jumping the gun while still being profitable? Like, what are those differentiators that you see? So obviously adding that human element to it, the personal touch is one, but like, do you see more sustainable growth strategies in terms of acquiring that audience, but not, because again, I think about this in the way of like people buying followers on Instagram. That's great. You've got 10,000 people that follow you, but how many of those people actually are engaged with you, are customers? So like, what's a way that brands can approach growing their audience without kind of biting themselves in the foot?
I mean,
and how do tools like Rebuy assist with that strategy?
Yeah, I feel like there's a strategy element to it, and then there's a tactical element. On the strategy side, in my opinion, you can't rush building a consumer brand. Like the same way that tech companies can overnight blow up, you can't do that with a consumer brand. It takes years for that brand affinity to build and for people to sample it and try it and experience it, decide they miss it, they come back, they rebuy it, they experience it again. You can't really rush that. But tactically, I think that, and I also think strategy-wise, you can't, there is no playbook for just building a brand and putting it out there and it working. There's some shortcuts that are patternable, like, having a celebrity or jumping into a big retail partnership, or there's tactics like that. But if you think of a brand like Imi, for example, like Imi wasn't just a playbook brand overnight. They spent 4 years building the product, perfecting the product, and then slowly started teasing it out with e-commerce and seeing what works. And then the tactics kick in. And, that's when you have your pop-up that's collecting as many emails as possible, and your upsells and your slide out cart and the post-purchase stuff and the reorder part of Rebuy. Like, there's all these tactics things you can do. But I don't think there's a way to rush and build a brand. And I think that's probably the biggest thing people forget is when they are, fundraising for a brand, or they haven't hit the go button yet. There's this perception that you can just copy what's been done before and do it successfully, but it just doesn't exist. There's not many examples of that where that's existed or that's,
sustainable.
Yeah, and even on the celebrity side, I've been a part of celebrity brands where we've launched it and within 2 weeks it's flatlined. Like no one cares anymore because there was nothing innovative from the beginning, or the celebrity thought, okay, I'm going to be in a few meetings and we're going to put this out and it's going to do well. It just doesn't do that. The brand part, which is like the foundation, has to be literally handmade with so much tender love and care before you put it on this conveyor belt to go out and get distributed.
I love that. And I think, again, so also shout out to Imi. I worked with them when I was on the account management side, and their team is just, everything is intentional with them. Everything is thought through. And I think that that's a lesson that I've learned when working with brands. Again, there's a lot of people that come to us thinking, this is what I need, or this is what I want. But it's like, pump the brakes. Let's start here, because those things will come if you foundationally set the tone for it, right? So John, with you, and when you're building the Rebuy brand, I think, now we've come, like you said, intelligent shopping experiences, all of that. Obviously now in the App Store, I think there's how many apps that are launching every single week, every single day. To go back to that question of how do you decide to either build or iterate on what you've already built when you see other pieces or other app companies rather entering the market? Do you decide to continue doing what we're doing better, or do you try to kind of like cast that net? Like, how do you kind of hone in on the strategy?
Yeah, I think ultimately it's a little bit of both. But I kind of want to talk about like what you were just commenting on, which was your other question about like how to grow a direct to consumer brand and like what the hacks are. And I also don't know of any hacks, but I can think about how we're growing Rebuy. And the way that we're growing Rebuy is we're connecting with an individual customer at any point in time, and we're using the software product with them. And when we click and unlock something awesome, you're like, wow, it's working. And that customer is going to stick with us. Something really great just took place easily. So that's the goal. And then sometimes we click, and then we're like, oh, wait, got blocked, didn't work as expected, something like that. And then we fix that. And then we go back to that customer again, and we drive the software with them and click. Okay, great. It got unlocked. Wow. Right? And so it's this really maniacal focus on just like an individual customer. We just use the software with our customers. And if we use the software with our customers and it's great, then they'll stick with us. And so I think that it's the strategy we're pursuing because we believe in it. But I would imagine direct-to-consumer brands might not be quite that literal in terms of what I just described, but I would think to be great, you have to have a product that the customer like pays for and loves. So like, and then your .com store is going to be a distribution channel for you, but it's never going to be the reason that you convert. So I just think that using your products with your customers and like is a big deal. And then in terms of, it's pretty interesting because like when we built the original version of Rebuy that started seeing a lot of commercial success, we were simply a recommendation engine. You pass the Shopify product ID, we'll return the most likely to convert cross-sell product. Okay, and then we got things going. And then like there was a whole search industry that we weren't a part of. And the search apps and search companies added recommendations to their search engines. And we were a recommendation engine. So it was only natural to add a search engine to our recommendation engine, right? And that's because that's what customers want. They want search and recommendations, ideally, through a single provider. So we do respond to the market and what our customers want. And then like there's some strategy in it all. So that is like one way we can like expand our scope, for example. And that's been a big boon for us. Like originally we didn't strategically start to be a search company, but it's one of our coolest products. You've got to check it out. Rebuy AI Search. It's exceptional. We've got some, I'll just leave it at that.
Well, one thing I also want to add, and I love that we do this, and also working on the partnership side, like you said, we almost build alongside the people we build for. So, the idea of us being able to incorporate some of those brands as partners, design partners, where, we build the product for them and also get their feedback in real time. So we can kind of, again, build for them. I love that approach. Like, do you think that so how do I phrase this properly? I think we obviously get that information directly from the brand. But when it comes to those design partners, what would you say you look for when it comes to the people that you build alongside?
Yeah, the strategy behind having design partners is to make sure that we're throwing bullseyes nonstop. So it's just like, think about having like some resources and like every time you throw, it's like bullseye, 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 bullseye. So that's like how I'm thinking about design partner customers. So we innovate. A lot of times we build things people never asked for. That's a part of the story that hasn't got surfaced yet. But then we'll put these innovative new products in people's hands and then like use them with them to see like if they like this innovation. So far, we've had good luck with a handful of innovative products. We got another one coming out soon called Rebuy Smart Flows. Yeah, so we innovate, put it in the hands of our customers, and then listen to them and drive it and make sure that it's sweet. And if it's not sweet, we keep working.
Is this sweet? Yes or no? No, we'll rebuild it.
I feel like there's a scale between is it whack or is it gangster?
Yeah.
Those are the two options.
I love that. I love
We got to be
that.
heading in the right direction. Yeah.
Amazing. So
And
we're
speed
about
on iteration helps.
Yeah. So we're about to wrap this up. I think there's a lot of valuable information. We'll be here all week. So if you guys have any more questions about any of these features, but I want to finish this with what are you super excited about? What's sweet for you right now in terms of Sharma Brands? Is there anything that you guys have coming up or any launches or anything that you want to highlight? And then I'm going to ask the same question to John.
We have we're launching a brand tomorrow. Actually, today's Tuesday, so we're launching a brand tomorrow called POV Beauty with Michaela Noguera. She's the biggest beauty influencer in the world.
Yeah.
And that's going to be huge. I'm pretty sure Rebuy's on that side as well. And yeah, the last thing I'll say, I'm like the one Indian who can't code, and you know, Rebuy is. We're talking about design partners. We're talking about AI. That's all fluff. Rebuy is literally the easiest app to use. If you're not A/B testing, use Rebuy. If you don't have a cart that's upselling, just try Rebuy. It's literally the easiest app in this entire floor to use.
Period. And how about you? I know we've got a lot of things, but I'll leave it to you to talk about what you're most excited about for what's up and coming with Rebuy.
There's a lot to be excited about at Rebuy. There certainly is.
Speak on it.
What I don't know. I mean, the one that I think is worth sharing right now is the innovation that Klaviyo brought to the email space with their Flows product. Think about how successful Klaviyo is, how cool their Flows product is, and what it has done for email marketing. We're developing the same sort of technology to control the online store. So not a lot of people know about this. It's going to be available to the Shopify ecosystem soon through Rebuy Engine. And it's called Rebuy Smart Flows. And you're going to be able to segment your entire online store and create these entire orchestrated journeys all through like a flow-based artboard. And if a user enters through that flow link, then that's the experience they get. If a user enters your website through a different flow link, they'll unlock a completely different experience. And you can also create a global flow to just generally orchestrate across your website based on numerous parameters. Show this banner under these conditions. Show this pop-up when this thing happens. Recommend this in the cart when this other condition is met. And you're going to be able to orchestrate your whole online store. So you'll just launch your .com store on Shopify. Now you have an awesome theme, collections, product pages, stuff like that. That's all you need. Now you activate Rebuy Smart Flows, and the rest of everything that you would do as the owner of that website and an orchestrator, you do through Rebuy Smart Flows. And it even connects with Klaviyo segments. So you can do a flow that says like, if user is in Klaviyo segment this, and then do a whole orchestration just to that segment. So completely connected between Klaviyo and your .com store, powered by Rebuy Smart Flows. So this is going to be a game changer in 2025.
That's a mic drop moment right there. All right, well, thank you both. Thank you for employing me. Thank you for being an incredible partner. And like I said, we've got a few, momentum. I'll talk about that in a second, but let's give it up for these two. Thank you, guys.